Good afternoon, North Shore High School seniors. It's great to have an opportunity to visit with you this afternoon. And I want to first of all start by saying how grateful I am to each of you for joining me this afternoon. And I know this is such a meaningful time of the year. Your senior year is something you look forward to for a long time in your school journey. And it's something you'll look back on with great fondness as it marks such a significant milestone. I also want to say that each of us working from home or socially distancing ourselves has challenges. And you can hear my dog barking. So let me see if I can get Zeus to stop barking. Zeus. Perhaps I need new dog treats. I'm not sure. But anyhow, it's fabulous to have an opportunity to have you on today. And I want to also say how grateful I am that each of you are choosing to stay home and socially distanced, which is so responsible right now. And I want to share personally how grateful I am for that. There are many of us my age and older that appreciate the sacrifice that many folks are making at this time of such a significant health crisis. Also want to make sure that you understand that even though our routines have changed dramatically in the last few weeks, who we are as a district and as a community and as a country hasn't changed. We're still a close-knit community, and we're going to still work together to make wonderful things happen with you and for you. So I want to start with the questions by basically sharing that I've received more than 200 comments and questions to the survey that we sent out on Sunday. And then our regional assistant superintendents, along with leadership from Heather Miller, who's one of our regional assistant superintendents for the South region, took those topics and questions and met with all of your high school principals to review answers or possible interests around each of these questions. So what I'm going to be sharing with you today is our best thinking at this time of our high school principals and also our regional assistant superintendents. I also do want to make sure you know that this situation with our coronavirus health pandemic is a rapidly evolving situation. So what we think today may look different tomorrow or next week. So what I want to make sure is that I only provide you firm answers to the things we firmly know, and also share with you those answers which we're not sure yet because we're still working on them. During the course of our conversation today, I'll also have an opportunity to pause with you and have you ask questions as well. So let me share how that will work. This afternoon, I'll be sharing information on a topic by topic basis. And as I'm talking, you can type in a follow-up question that you believe maybe hasn't been answered. At the end of each topic, I'll review as many additional chat questions and attempt to answer them as I can. If I don't have the answer, I promise to get back to your question and have our team look at it and make sure we check in with state agencies to get you the best answers before we get together again next week. I do commit to being online at 2 o'clock next Wednesday as well to provide an update for you. So let's begin. The first question that came up was, let me go to our page here. How will my coursework be graded for second semester final grades? And so I want to share that this topic of grading has been a really kind of a challenging topic for all of us to wrestle with. So I want to give you a couple pieces of news. One is firm, and that is for third quarter, we are not going to be posting grades for third quarter. So you will not be receiving a third quarter grade. We really feel like we only got 4 weeks into third quarter before the entire quarter was disrupted. So for many of you, this is an opportunity to think about when we start up our instructional programming again here in the very short future, having an opportunity to look at how you're proceeding with these courses in perhaps a different way. So do know that there will not be third quarter grades. We'll be sending a letter out to parents this afternoon explaining that. So that's something we know for sure. Secondly, then, what about final grades for second semester? And right now, the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction is encouraging school districts to use a pass, no credit option for second semester instead of using letter grades. At this time, our district leadership and our teachers and our support staff and principals will be consulting on the best option for our school here in North Shore, and I should have a final answer on that for you by next Wednesday. We are leaning towards a credit, no credit, in other words, a pass, no credit option, but we haven't made that firm decision for a final second semester grade. I should have an answer though, as I said, by next Wednesday. So are there any further questions on that topic, on grades? Oh, they really want to see Zeus. All right, maybe before the end of the call, I will share, I'll bring Zeus up on the picture. He's actually quite charming. He's large boned though. I think a few too many milk bone treats. Not sure. So I'll go to the next question. At the conclusion of second semester, I will have met my required graduation credits, which are 24, pending successful completion of the core requirements for seniors, contemporary world issues and English. Will I have earned my diploma? The answer is yes, you will of course earn your diploma. So essentially right now our graduation requirements are currently the same as when we stepped away from the classroom. And as long as you complete those successfully, yes, you will earn a diploma. The next question is, how do I complete my high school and beyond plan? Well, at this point, we're in many ways lucky that we have Naviance, which is an online program. So you can go into Naviance and complete your high school and beyond plan. Should you have questions, please reach out to your counselor or your career and college readiness specialist at your high school. So I'll stop there and see if there are any questions on grades or diplomas or high school and beyond plan. There is a question. The question is asking, does this semester count? And actually this semester does count. You do need to earn the credits, and the credits will still be awarded. It's what the grade will look like that's that question. So in other words, the credit will have to be there to get a diploma. The actual grades may be pass or no credit and not an actual letter grade. So another question would be, how does valedictorian status work? That's a great question, and we'll catalog that, and I'll be meeting with your principals, or actually probably Heather Miller and the regional assistant superintendents will meet with principals to determine the best path forward, but I should have an answer on that by next Wednesday. How would the pass-fail system affect the GPA? Essentially, the pass-fail system, if we were to employ it, would not affect your GPA because it would be 0 over 0, right? So it would be like multiplying times 1. So it should not have an impact on your GPA. Again, it should not have an impact on your GPA. We would need to hold your GPA harmless with such a system. So that pass, no credit, in theory, would not affect your GPA. It couldn't be improved and it couldn't be worsened. So there would be no impact. Any other questions on grades and courses and semester? How does the high school and beyond plan apply for Running Start? Well, if you're planning on earning a high school diploma, you still need to have a high school and beyond plan, as that's a State Board of Education requirement. And that requirement isn't waived for Running Start students, but you can still hit those, the high school and beyond plan on Naviance online at home. So that shouldn't be a problem. I will also say that the State Board of Education is the body that determines graduation requirements, and they are meeting tomorrow afternoon. So we should have an update on their meeting by our time together next Wednesday. And I promise by then I'll have some dog treats for Zeus, so there's not a constant barking in the background. Let's see, if you're doing sports in order to waive PE credit and the season is now canceled, how do we make up for the credit in order to graduate? That's a great question. So again, I'll ask our Deputy Superintendent, Dugan Harmon, to work with our athletic directors and high school principals and counselors, as well as PE teachers, to have an answer to that question for you next Wednesday. At the end of the day, seniors, we want you to know every one of your principals, all of your teachers, your support staff, your paraeducators, office staff, food and nutrition and custodial staff and transportation folks, we want you to graduate and feel really good about your experience. So we're going to continue to look at these rules in your best interest. We know the situation is one that's really hard on you. So just know in each of these, we're going to give a nod to what we think works best for all of you. So next question, would grades as a pass-fail affect college decisions as second semester is seen by colleges? I will say that this is a great question. I recently, last week actually, had a phone conversation with University of Washington President Anamari Kause, and she was very clear that the universities, both in Washington and outside of Washington, are working hard together to not have this second semester be a negative impact on an admissions process for college. She also was very clear to say that we want and expect our seniors to continue to work hard on the different projects and innovative ways we're approaching education right now. But there is no intent among our higher education folks to make this more difficult. So if you're in the middle of an admissions process, this second semester will be taken into account by higher education. And I'll have more about that next Wednesday. Anything else on this topic before I move to the next topic? Now he goes to sleep. All right, so let me look at the next topic. And the next topic is, I still need to complete Washington State history to earn my diploma. Should I continue to complete my coursework to meet this requirement? The answer to that is yes, absolutely. You should continue to complete coursework either online or through learning packets to finish that Washington State history requirement. That is a state requirement and we're not able to waive that. If there is a challenge for you in meeting the Washington State history requirement, please reach out to your high school counselor as soon as possible. The next question is, how do I meet the new graduation pathways requirement? Well, there are multiple options to meeting the graduation pathway requirement, and counselors have been working with students individually who have not yet met the requirement. Students are encouraged to connect with their counselors if they have additional questions about this requirement. So we're really kind of working on trying to figure out, continuing those conversations if you started those already with your counselor. Again, an answer to the PE credit waiver over spring sports, and high school principals are working with athletic directors to determine a plan should you fall into this category. And a reminder that communication will come from your principal, athletic director, and/or counselor on that. I will pause there for a minute and see if there are any questions right now. How do performance classes get credit? I suppose a performance class, much like perhaps some of our career and technical education courses or music, drama, the arts, I think you're going to be working on that with your teachers. And very shortly, we're going to be back online with some type of an instructional program. And you'll have an opportunity to work with your individual instructors on how to earn credit. I think performance classes are really important. Perhaps someday soon, I'll be able to watch a virtual concert or a virtual musical. Who knows? We've been holding cabinet meetings virtually, and it's frankly quite interesting. Okay, how do performance class, doesn't College 101 count for high school and beyond? Another good question, and I'm not entirely sure I understand the question, so I'll make sure that we capture that and have someone prepare me for an answer for next week on that particular question. The next one is, how will Wanek nursing students get their CNA license? My understanding is that our career and college readiness director, Damon Schuneman, is going to continue to work with Wanek on ways in which to continue that program so that we would be able to issue licenses for CNAs. Those are state programs, so let me see if I can get a more specific answer to you on that by next Wednesday. So any other questions at this point? All right, well, let me go back to the Q&A then. So the next one is, when online learning paused, I was doing online coursework through Apex. I need to complete this coursework in order to meet the required graduation credits. When will I be able to connect with my teacher regarding my Apex courses? And I would say at this point, very soon, students should be reaching out to their Apex teachers and counselors to ensure that learning is progressing so coursework can be completed in a timely manner. So now would be a good time to try to connect with your Apex teacher or a counselor to make sure you're on the right path with Apex. Another question, I'm enrolled in work study to earn credits towards my diploma. Due to the COVID-19, I'm not able to work to earn the hours. How will this affect my ability to earn a diploma? Well, I want to share that high school principals are going to continue to work with district leadership to determine a course of action, and communication will be coming from your principal or counselor. And I'll also have an answer for that next Wednesday when we get together at 2 o'clock. But obviously, if you're not able to work, we don't want you to try to go into work simply to earn credits on this situation. We want you to stay home and follow the social distancing. Just a second. Zeus, stop. I'll have to get a milk bone in a minute. But anyhow, we'll have a better answer next Wednesday for the how you might mitigate this requirement or what we might do to mitigate that. So let me stop there for a moment and take any questions on those topics that have come up since. Okay, if we are currently failing a class, would that affect our GPA? And is there a way to simply waive the class if it's not needed for graduation? So what I would say is if you're currently failing a class and we've only really had 4 weeks of the semester, there's lots of time and many ways to make that into a pass. So I think your first strategy would be to try to turn that class that might be initially a bit of a failure into a success. We're hoping that a wider open, sort of more innovative approach to the content in each class will make it more engaging and provide you an opportunity to take that current failure and make it a success. So that would be my first suggestion. Any further questions at this point? I'm just looking at the chat box. So I have a library book that I haven't turned in. Can I still graduate? Great question. I think as long as you have the library book and you can email the librarian, or if you don't know who the librarian is, perhaps email your principal and let them know that you have whatever the title of the book is, perhaps To Kill a Mockingbird, Of Mice and Men, Ina Garten's Barefoot Contessa Cookbook, whatever the text is that you've checked out from the library, make sure you email the librarian or your principal and let them know that you have the book, and we'll collect it in due time, but we would not want a library book to hold you up from graduation. So great question. And we do want you reading, so do hang on to the book for the moment. Next question. What about my lunch account balance if it's overdue? Well, we'll have to check on lunch account balances. I'm not sure where they sit right now, but we also know that many of our families aren't working for a variety of reasons. So I think we'll look at those on a case-by-case basis. And again, a lunch account balance is not going to negate your ability to graduate if you've met all the requirements. So now is not a time for us to be let me just leave it at that. I think that our lunch account balances, will work with those on a situational basis. We understand these are hard times for many of you and your families. And I'd also like to share maybe at this time that I know many of you have family members that are first responders or healthcare workers or transportation folks, or they're stocking grocery store shelves, or having to work in some role right now. And I know that can be stressful. So let's not worry about the lunch account balances when graduation's hanging in the balance. So hang in there, and we'll get through this. Next question, if we're in a satellite course, how do we earn that credit? For example, the Teaching Academy. What I can say is when we resume our educational program delivery, each of the teachers for which you're enrolled in a class will be reaching out and connecting with you. And that would be a great question to ask at that time of your Teaching Academy teacher. So you'll have that opportunity very shortly. All right, let me get back to the Q&A here. And the next question is, I recently took the World Language Competency Test and earned credits that will impact my graduation requirements and/or Seal of Biliteracy designation. How can I have these credits added to my transcript? So I would say that students should complete the request for approval of credit for proficiency in a world language and Seal of Biliteracy form, which we're going to have on the website. This question and answer document will be on the website. So complete that form, send it to your school's registrar. And if you're not sure who the registrar is, send it to your counselor, along with a copy of the results letter and a score report. These documents can be scanned or photographed and emailed, and the names of those folks, the registrars, will be on the form that'll be on the website. You could also email your school's registrar if you have questions, and those registrar addresses will be on the website here this afternoon. The next question is, I have passed the first stage of my world language competency test and now need to take the second portion with a proctor. Earning these credits will impact my graduation requirements. When will I be able to take the second portion of the exam? Great question. So high school principals will be reaching out to those seniors who need to take the second part of the test to earn this credit or who want this seal. If you believe you're in this position and no one has reached out to you yet, please reach out to your counselor and ask those questions, because we want to make sure you get that seal if you have an opportunity to earn that. So the last question on this page is, I won't be able to meet the 24 credit requirement to earn my diploma. Is there any option for me to earn a diploma with less than 24 credits? There is a policy that indicates there could be a waiver for up to 2 flexible credits due to extenuating circumstances, but we're going to have more information on what might count for those types of circumstances. And I believe they're only for elective credits. So there'll be more to come and more detail on that topic by next Wednesday. So let me pause there and go back to questions and see if there are any further questions. Nice, go Vikings. All right, must be an Inglemore student. So Inglemore seniors, good to see you're on. All right, Dr. Reid, my SAT test day was canceled. Is there any word about how colleges will view applications if the SAT isn't done? So if you're a current senior and you were thinking about an SAT, generally those had to be done because the application to college deadline was this fall for most colleges by December or January. So a current SAT test day, I would have to get back to folks on that. The colleges at this point, there are many colleges who don't require an SAT or ACT, but for those that do, we'll have to look at when the College Board is planning a makeup day. So we'll have more information on that topic coming up next Wednesday. Next question, if we were at SAS graduating early, can we still graduate early? I think that would be a question for Principal Donna Tayo, and I suppose it depends on the contract or agreement you've had with the number of credits you're working on and whether or not you've completed that work and have been able to turn the work in. Our SAS students have flexibility, so if it is possible for graduation to happen early for you as a result of your credits, then I think that would be reasonable. But check in with your principal, Tayo, on that. Next question, for work study, I've been told I need a counselor signature. How can I get that? I would suggest that you reach out to your counselor with that same question, identify your work study request, and then your counselor can electronically sign that or virtually sign that. We're able to do that now. So you won't need to be in person to get that signature. All right, I'll go back to more questions from the Q&A document. So, due to this international crisis and unusual circumstances, will the State Board of Education put emergency rules in effect so as not to negatively impact our seniors? What I can say is that the legislators granted the State Board of Education authority to administer an emergency waiver program to provide flexibility to ensure students who were on track to graduate before the gubernatorial declaration of emergency, or essentially before the governor closed schools on February 29th. Well, actually, he declared the emergency on February 29th, but they declared that the state board was supposed to hold harmless those students who, again, were on track at that time on February 29th, and make sure that they're not negatively impacted by measures taken in response to the novel coronavirus, COVID-19. So this above guidance was provided by the State Board of Education. As I mentioned earlier, they are meeting tomorrow afternoon, and we'll be following their meeting very closely and providing you the outcome and the data and decisions they've made at our time together next Wednesday at 2 o'clock. But essentially, if you were on track to graduate on or before February 29th, there should be no problem with you graduating. So that should be a relief for many, many of you. Even if the next question, even if the State Board of Education allows for waivers to credit requirements, I don't fall into that category because I wasn't considered on track to graduate when the declaration of emergency occurred. What should I do now? So there are some of you that weren't quite on track on February 29th. And so counselors are going to continue to work with you during the rest of this school year to provide you with options to earn your graduation requirements. And you should continue working on those options. Principals and counselors will be connecting with you in the next few weeks, and there are a variety of credit makeup, credit retrieval, and online options. So it is never too late. And even if you weren't on track, we encourage you to dig in, and there's still time to make it. So hang in there, and we'd love to see 100% of you, each and every one of you, graduate this spring. I'm looking forward to seeing you, whether it's virtual or in real life at some point here for graduation. So let me pause there and go back to our chat and see if there are any new questions. Okay, just to clarify, you said that third quarter doesn't matter, but if you're receiving an F in those classes, will they stay an F? What I'm saying is that third quarter grades will not be provided. It all matters, but it doesn't all have to be graded. In other words, not everything that matters is graded, and not everything that's graded matters probably, right? So what I did say is that third quarter grades are not going to be provided. And if you currently, as of February 29th, or you thought you had an F in those classes, you still have time to get those classes to a credit level, at least like a pass. So there's plenty of time. I know you can do it. And there are opportunities for assistance with counselors, teachers, and principals. And we're going to be sharing our newest iteration of our educational delivery model very shortly with you. So next question, just to clarify, should we be continuing online learning? My child is, okay, I'm sorry. Students, Inglemore hasn't been in contact with teachers. Should we contact them? So I think this would be a situation where you should be receiving information from me either this evening or tomorrow, we're hopeful, about the next iteration, excuse me, of our educational program. And at that point, definitely you should be reaching out to teachers once you receive that information from me about the continuation of educational programming, and know that they'll also be reaching out to students here in the very near future. So is this cyber world the way of the future? I don't know. I think it's our current future, right? Because we're in the space of needing to be socially distancing to slow the spread of the coronavirus and hopefully arrest its spread. And for the time being, this virtual world we're in, and all of us are adjusting, is the space we're in. So we're going to make the most of it, because that's what we do in North Shore. Any more questions before I go back to the list? All right, let me go back to the list. And can I enroll in Running Start? Let's see here. Can I enroll in Running Start spring quarter to earn additional credits towards my diploma? There may be additional options to enroll in Running Start for the spring quarter. However, students need to connect with their school counselor to discuss this option, and check with the college Running Start office to see spring quarter deadlines, because each college is different. So under advanced placement information, will I be able to take the advanced placement test? Those are AP exams. And my understanding is the current information is that yes, you will be able to take advanced placement tests, but the test is going to be shifting to an online 45-minute free response test covering material that was taught by March. There will be 2 dates to test, and those dates will be posted on the College Board website by April 3rd. So this is actually interesting news. Early on, we weren't sure that AP and the College Board were going to be flexible, but as it turns out, the answer is yes. You will be able to test, and you will be testing online at home. I would encourage you, students who are in AP classes, that when the College Board talks about that content that's taught by March, just to remember that many school districts around the country start school in August. So they're actually a month ahead of us in some ways. So you may want to think about how you look at some of the content that would be even past what March would have looked at. So I know your AP teachers will be talking to you about that, and encourage you to work with them closely as you plan and prepare for those AP exams. Beginning on Wednesday, March 25th, which is today, students and schools will have access to free live AP review and lessons delivered by AP teachers from all over the country. And that link will be provided on this frequently asked question sheet, and it'll be posted to our website. So if you are taking AP courses, it would be a good idea, I think, to take advantage of those options. What if I don't have access to the internet or a device for the AP test? So if you don't, students should reach out to their high school counselor or their AP teacher. Students or families can also call the technology support hotline at the school district at 425-408-7669 and be added to a waiting list. We think we've gotten devices and hotspots out to all students who need them, but if you need them for an AP test and haven't communicated to us, please use the hotline, which will also be published on our website. And the next question is, can I cancel my AP test and get a refund? And yes, the answer is students who have already registered can cancel and get a full refund. So if you think maybe you're not going to be able to be ready for that AP exam and would rather not take it, you can cancel and you can get a full refund. So let me pause there and get back to IB questions are next, but let me go back up here and see if there are any questions about AP right now or the topics I just discussed. So let me check out the chat. Okay, no new questions. I'll go back to the Q&A here. Will International Baccalaureate exams scheduled for May continue? And at this time, the May 2020 examinations, as scheduled between April 30th and May 22nd for the Diploma program and the career-related program candidates, will no longer be held. In other words, the International Baccalaureate group has chosen to cancel their spring examinations. How will this decision impact students earning an IB diploma? Depending on what they registered for, the student will be awarded a diploma or a course certificate, which reflects your standard of work. This is based on students' coursework and the established assessment expertise, rigor, and quality control already built into the program. So this will be something you'll hear more about from your International Baccalaureate coordinators and teachers. When will more guidance be given regarding the IB diploma and related issues? We know parents and students will have many questions. Communications was sent out from Inglemoor to students and families on March 22nd. Additional information will be communicated from IB coordinators after March 27th. So International Baccalaureate, as you know, is an Inglemoor High School program for our Inglemoor High School Vikings, and Inglemoor will be bearing the responsibility for much of that communication. At this time, though, it appears that those exams have been canceled, and the merits of the work will be what determine your certificate, your class certificate, or the IB diploma. So let me check in to see if there are any questions about International Baccalaureate here in the chat. No questions on International Baccalaureate. All right, so let me go back to the next series of questions are college and the high school information. What will happen with my college and the high school course I'm taking this semester? The answer to this at this time is we'll be seeking guidance from our college partners regarding these courses. As we have a number of different colleges that provide college and the high school, in some cases there are different types of guidance each college is giving. So we'll have more information on that, and your teachers in the very short future will be able to share information with you. So let's move then to senior events. We've got a lot of questions about, will June graduation ceremonies occur? And I need to share that at this time, we're not sure what to expect for graduation ceremonies. We continue to be in contact with the venue in Everett where we hold graduation, and they're going to be following state and local guidelines regarding group gatherings and so forth. So stay tuned to that. At this point, I don't have a firm answer, and we're going to stay on top of that. Just know that we are staying connected with the venue for a physical in-person graduation ceremony that's been scheduled in June. And we'll also have to look at other options should that become necessary. But as of this afternoon, we're on a holding pattern at this time. The next question is, what can I expect for prom, award ceremonies, etc.? Will they be rescheduled or canceled? So I need to share that principals and activity coordinators at each of the high schools are in consultation with district leadership regarding these events. Student leaders are also going to be included in this conversation. So your ASB and leadership students at each high school will be working with their principal and the activity coordinator. As of now, any of these activities or events that were planned prior to April 27th have been canceled or are rescheduled. So because the governor has closed schools through April 27th, anything prior to April 27th has had to be canceled. However, we have tried to reschedule those that we can for after April 27th. And as we know more, we'll be sure to get back to you. Your student voice is really important. We want you to know at all times through this that we see you, we hear you, we care about you, and we want to make this as special as possible under these really dramatically epic events that we're in right now. So we're going to just ask you to continue to roll with us as we work to make the best decisions possible. And where possible, we want to include your voice in those decisions as well. So the next question, I am in the process of completing scholarship applications. If I need information from my counselor or the counseling secretary, how should I access the information to complete my scholarship application? So in this one, again, I would say that students should reach out to their counselor to access this information. It's very important that you stay connected to your counselor in this time of application for scholarships. And I know principals as well are going to be very involved in this work. So let me stop there and go back to our chat questions and see if there are further questions at this time. Okay, how will the AP curve play out with the shortened testing times on our AP exam? I think the AP curve will likely play out, well, I don't know, statistically. We could do a whole poll on that. I don't know. We might think that the curve would be flatter or steeper. I don't know. I think we'll find out. It depends on the rigor of a 45-minute AP exam versus a traditional AP exam, and perhaps the skills necessary to be successful. So I think we don't know yet on that one. What if your graduation isn't being held at Angel of the Winds for North Shore Networks or SAS students? The same issue at this point. If we are able to hold a large gathering venue to celebrate graduation, of course we're going to do it. And if the state still isn't allowing us to hold large events or large gatherings at any venue, then we would have to look at a different model to celebrate graduation. There have been all kinds of ideas. And we're open at this point to thinking really, really out of the box on this one. Another question is, if we do not walk, can we get refunds on caps and gowns? If not, will North Shore School District please coordinate donations to next year's class? Well, so that's a great question. We haven't thought about that because we're hopeful there's some way we're going to be able to walk. So, but I'll keep that suggestion in place for possible for subsequent years. Oh, another question is a Minecraft prom. I will say that I saw I did receive from an international school that they held a Minecraft graduation where each graduate picked their character and had some type of a virtual graduation. This was in Japan. So I don't know, a Minecraft prom, I think we're open to any possibility, but still some thinking to do on that one, I think. So any other questions at this point on the topics we just talked about? AP. For the advanced placement program, how do we know the order in which College Board expects teachers to teach the AP curriculum? For the AP program, how do we know the order? I think the College Board traditionally has a syllabus for each of their courses, which outlines the scope and sequence for an AP course, and all of our AP teachers would actually have access to that syllabus. So that would be my understanding, that that's how they would best understand the AP curriculum and its scope. All right, well, let me go to I think we're down to the last question that had been submitted online Sunday. And that is, I have official transcripts from outside course providers reflecting credits earned. In other words, some of you have earned credits from other types of schools or programs and want to know how to complete the form to get them added to your transcript. So students should complete the request to add course to transcript form and send it to your school's registrar. And again, we'll have each school's registrar email address and name posted on this form as soon as this webinar ends. So you'll be able to click on the link and then send that to the registrar at your high school. So a transcript form is also provided under this link, and you should request that the course provider send the transcript directly to the registrar via email if it's at all possible. Again, documents can be scanned or photographed and sent to the registrar at your particular school or program. So that really hits all of the questions that were submitted as of Friday. So, or excuse me, as of this afternoon that began on Sunday. So are there any other questions on any topic that we didn't touch on already that I could hopefully answer this afternoon? We have just a few more minutes. For the advanced placement, oh yes, lots of questions about refunds, caps and gowns, spring sports. My understanding is we're still hopeful. We have not canceled spring sports. They're in a holding pattern. Again, as you know, the governor canceled school until April 27th, and we haven't heard otherwise yet. But if we return to school on April 27th, then spring sports would pick up, as would all other activities scheduled for after April 27th. If we don't go back to school on April 27th, then I think those questions become even more important in terms of what types of refunds are available. Can you reopen the form to ask questions? Yes, we can reopen the form to ask questions. We can do that. So I'm going to have to ask the staff that are facilitating the call to help with that, because I'm not, I'm not quite as tech literate as they are. Next question, how do IB transfer credits work with IB tests being canceled? My understanding is that as long as you earn the IB credit on the merit of the work done in your IB courses, they would transfer as they would in any other given year. We can confirm that, but that would be my understanding as of this afternoon. If my girlfriend is in a different district, can I still take her to a Minecraft prom? Well, if we have a Minecraft prom, I would think that's possible, but I'm really not very familiar with Minecraft, so maybe that's a possibility. Other questions? Perhaps we've all been home alone too long. Can athletics still happen without school actually being in session? Oh, I see. Like maybe in summer? You know, we haven't thought about that, but this is partly why I'm on the webinar with you, because I know honestly that our seniors will have even better ideas sometimes than we will about solutions to the issues we're facing. So let me take that idea back to our athletic directors and Mr. Harmon, our deputy superintendent, and see if they might look at that, because I know some of you, the spring sports season might be a collegiate sport you're planning to play, and having that opportunity to compete is really important. So let's take a look at that, and we'll get back to you next Wednesday. If NSD cancels school, are Running Start students required to stay in school at Cascadia? I think you'd have to check in with Cascadia. As I mentioned earlier, with Running Start, each college that we work with in Running Start has different guidelines. So do check in with your Running Start advisor at the college you're at in Running Start. Next question, will there be an extension to the school year, and what is the last day of school for seniors? We are not currently planning an extension to the school year, but that could change. However, at this point, we are not planning an extension other than for the snow days. We do have some snow day makeup to do. And the last day of school for seniors, I don't know why I don't have that in my notes, but it hasn't changed from previously. So whatever the prior last day was, I believe is still currently scheduled to be the last day of class for seniors. Will there be an extension? What is the last? Where is Zeus? Oh, that's a great question. He is asleep. I will promise next Wednesday at 2 o'clock when we get back together to start with Zeus right here. You can see his famous furry little face. He's a fabulous thought partner, thought partner for me. So he's actually snoring. Anyhow, any other questions for culinary arts students? We have keys for our lockers in the classroom. These keys belong to North Shore School District, not us. How should we return these keys if we not come back to school? I think that falls in the library book category. Regardless of how long this coronavirus issue goes, we are going to see you again at some point. I promise you that. So at whatever point that is, we will be back together for folks to turn in library books or keys to lockers, or just to hug one another and say, wow, we made it through something hopefully we'll never again see in our lifetime. So we will be seeing each other again. Hang on to the key, put it in a safe place. Once you find the library book, get it out of the laundry pile or wherever, put it somewhere safe so that when we do get back together, you know where it is so you can bring it back to school. Next question, picking up stuff they have at school. Right. Again, we absolutely plan at some point to have you back in the building for some length of time. I don't know what length of time that'll be, but of course you're going to be able to pick up items and drop off items. So we're going to be okay, and we're going to have an opportunity to do that safely and in a healthy way sometime here in the short future. Yeah. Will learning continue during spring break? Learning continues 24/7, so formal instruction will not occur during spring break, however, because it's spring break. So that would be the answer to spring break. Any other questions? Oh, good. There's a joke. How many sides does a waffle have? Let's see, an upside and a downside. I would say 2 sides. A waffle would have 2, an upside and a downside. I'm hoping whoever asked it has the answer. Does it depend on which kind of a waffle? I don't know. Any other questions that might apply to all seniors? Oh, are we still getting yearbooks? Great question. I would have to check in with our yearbook advisors, but assuming that the yearbooks were completed and sent off to publishing, I would assume you would still get your yearbook if you've ordered your yearbook in whatever fashion one orders their yearbook. But let me check on that. That's another great question. I think I guess we close school the first week of March. So it would depend on what had actually been submitted to the yearbook publishing company. So we'll check in with yearbook advisors at each of the high schools, or perhaps some of you seniors on the line right now are in the yearbook class and maybe know that answer. And if you can message that to me, then I could provide the answer to everybody else. Are we still let's see, can we get our diploma early if we've met all of our graduation requirements? If you've made arrangements to get your diploma early, having met all your requirements, then you'd need to work with your counselor and your principal on how that actually happens. Reiterate refunds for IB. Since the exams won't happen, I will have to check on how, again, Inglemoor High School students, you'll be hearing from your International Baccalaureate coordinators, as well as your principal and counselors at Inglemoor about IB refunds. So do wait to hear from them directly. And my understanding is that those refunds, that policy will be explained by Inglemoor High School. Anything else? I think we're getting into the last couple minutes. Still haven't heard the waffle answer. Don't leave me hanging. I suppose I could Google it, but then I don't know, Zeus might know too, but all right. Remind them we're still getting information. Just want to remind you that on Thursday afternoon, the State Board of Education will be meeting, and they'll be making some of the decisions that you have asked about. And frankly, our staff has asked about as well. So that's tomorrow afternoon. And we're going to be monitoring that meeting closely, and we'll let you know next Wednesday at 2 o'clock exactly what they say. And we should have some really firm answers on a couple of these topics for you. So stay tuned, and stay home, stay safe, stay healthy. And oh, wait a minute. I just got the waffle answer, 7 sides. Really? Okay, someone's gonna have to explain that one to me at some point. How does a waffle have 7 sides? It's an upside, a downside, the sides. I don't know. I'm not sure I'm buying it. So anyhow, in the meantime, if there aren't any more questions, I just want to say to each of you out there, thank you, thank you, thank you for embracing and dealing with this change that we're coping with right now. I've never seen anything like it in my lifetime, and I hope we never see anything like it again in your lifetime. Stay home where you're healthy and safe, and keeping one another healthy and safe, as well as your parents and your grandparents, aunts and uncles, and extended family. And just know we'll get through this. And we're there for you, our school staff, principals, all of our staff, teachers, nurses, counselors, everybody's rooting for you and wanting this senior year to be as special as it can be. So I'm going to sign off by wishing you a safe and healthy and joyful week. And I look forward to seeing you again next Wednesday at 2 o'clock for our other senior updates. So have a safe and healthy week and enjoy. Let's do it. Let's have a great North Shore week.